Ghosts are everywhere. It's true. You'd be hard-pressed to find a square kilometer of developed land without a paranormal story attached. This is true the world over, with stories of unhappy deaths compelling spirits to return to the waking world existing in every culture. While these stories often share a lot of the same elements, like floating pale spirits returning with unfinished business, there are a lot of differences too. Ghosts in different cultures often speak to specific fears and take on new forms because of this. In fact, many famous ghost stories and urban legends are based on natural and man-made phenomena, things that scare people even without the introduction of a ghastly figure. These fears can differ geographically, likely due to whatever horrors the ancestors in the area had to deal with many moons before. So while ghosts and hauntings are universal, the reasons behind them are definitely not. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we are taking a look at the top 5 terrifying ghost hauntings in the world. Maybe put the passport away for this one, because you might not want to take that trip after I tell you what's lurking in the darkness. Before we get started, I want to remind you to fire a thumbs up down below, and make sure to subscribe for more horrifying hauntings. For those who don't know, that was from the incredible Japanese haunted house classic, House. Unfortunately, it didn't make the list today, but I thought it would be a fun way to kick off our hauntings countdown. Let's get started. Coming in at number 5, we have Kuchisakeonna. Hailing from Japan, this beastly beauty is a force to be reckoned with indeed. Japan always has the best ghost stories, huh? Yokai, vengeful spirits, slow-burning psychological horror, there's something for everyone. I could probably do a whole video, or even a bunch of videos on the folklore of Japanese horror. But for now, we'll talk specifically about Kuchisakeonna, who also is known as the slit-mouthed woman. The ghost appears as a beautiful woman wearing a mask or face covering of some kind. She will haunt train and bus stations late at night looking for her next victim. When she spots one, she will approach her mark and ask them, "Am I beautiful?" If the victim answers yes, she will remove her mask, revealing a gaping, bloody smile slit from ear to ear. She'll ask again, and if the victim still says yes, they'll end up with a smile just like hers. Twins! She will take out her knife and slice that poor transit goer's face to match her own. If at any point the person tells her she is not beautiful, she'll take that same sharp blade and kill him. Some say she chops him in half, others say she disembowels her prey. Either way, it's bad news for anyone who's approached. There really is no right answer, although some speculate that you can avoid it altogether by telling her she's average before running away. Other survival stories detail distracting a ghost with hard candies or confusing her by asking her if she thinks that her victim is beautiful. The hard candies thing is odd because it would probably be difficult to suck on anything with a mouth like that. This story is said to have origins dating back to the days of the samurai. The original Kuchisakeonna is thought to be the adulterous wife of a samurai who mutilated her as revenge. Other versions claim she was disfigured during a botched surgery, attacked by a woman jealous of her beauty, and that her mouth is actually full of super sharp teeth. At one point in the 70s, this ghastly legend became so popular that police patrols were actually increased, and children were not allowed to walk home alone. So practice what you're going to say in front of the mirror. Make sure you stay strapped with Jolly Ranchers, unless you want to go around telling people how you got that smile. Coming in at number 4, we've got Skand Hokadas. Alright, this one is a little harder to find lots of information on, but don't lose your head. I'll tell you everything I know. These stumbling ghosts haunt the railways crisscrossing India. Being the 4th largest rail system in the world, there have been numerous accidents with unfortunate fatalities. Derailings, collisions, trips and falls on the tracks, you name it. Some of the accidents have led to headless victims and therefore headless ghosts. Skand Hokadas are ghosts with everything above the shoulders removed. They spend their days shambling along the train tracks where they lost their lives. Forever looking for their heads, Skand Hokadas will ask folks passing to help them search. This is not a friendly request though. If someone refuses or gives up after a while, the ghosts will possess them, hypnotize them, or otherwise take control of them and make them continue looking forever. Unfortunately for the ghosts and their new helpers, the heads are long gone. Nobody's gonna leave a rotten human head on the tracks, I'm sorry. Thankfully, these malevolent foragers aren't very smart. You know, because they don't have heads. A seasoned traveler can outsmart and trick these ghosts before they have a chance to use their possession powers. So let this be a lesson to you all. If someone's looking for a head near the train tracks, don't offer to help. Filling out our number 3 spot, we've got La Llorona. This one's a little more well known thanks to Hollywood's recent adaptations of the classic Spanish folktale. If you've seen the Conjuring spin-off The Curse of La Llorona, you'll know the gist, but that flick definitely missed out on some of the creepiest parts of the wailing mother searching for redemption. Also known as the Weeping Woman, La Llorona is a ghost story about a beautiful young woman named Maria. Maria met a rich man, charmed him with her looks, and they got married. The couple had 2 lovely children and were happy for a while. As is the case in a lot of stories though, the man became less and less interested in Maria as time went on, spending less time with the family until he would only come around to see the children. This did not sit right with poor Maria, but she carried on. That is, until one day she saw her husband with another, much younger woman. In a fit of rage, Maria drowned her children in a nearby river. Upon realizing what she had done, Maria drowned herself as well. It's said that when her spirit reached heaven, she was stopped at the gates and banished to purgatory as a ghost upon earth. It's also said that on the day of Maria's funeral, a woman in a white funereal gown was seen in the river scraping the bottom. In the years following her death, people have seen a spectral figure in white wading through lakes and rivers, searching for something. Cries of "Ay, mijillos," or "my children," can be heard when she is present. The further the cries sound, the closer she is, so be careful. This spirit will often mistake living children for her own and drown them in a fit of confusion and rage. For this reason, children in Mexico are warned not to go out alone at night, lest La Llorona snatch them up. La Llorona is a tragic tale of a desperate woman, not an evil one, and her ghost is one searching for redemption and her lost children, not looking for revenge. This actually makes the story all the more sad and scary because she pulls even more families into a tragedy without even realizing it. Number 2, the Yenganger. Coming in at number 2, we have the Yenganger. We've just wrapped up a river spirit, now we can talk about Viking spirits. The Yenganger, or the Yenferd, is a Scandinavian ghost with good reason to return. Murderers, their victims, people who committed suicide, or those who left something on Earth left undone, these again walkers will return to the Earth in full corporeal form. Kinda like zombie ghost vampires in a way. They have a physical form and often have the goal of disturbing the lives of those who wronged them. Because of this, they often look like real people, and it's actually difficult to differentiate between living humans. Adept at spreading sickness, these ghouls can cause your flesh to fall away from your body with just a touch. One of their more famous methods involves a deadly pinch. They will pinch someone in the dead of night and it will leave behind a blue spot. At first, it doesn't sound too bad, but the dead man's pinch is a sign of impending sickness and death. This mark will then spread to the victim's heart and kill them. Here I was thinking that pinches were no big deal. It's likely that the fear of this kind of haunting came from old school disease-based superstitions. Death was more well integrated into life back then, and corpses weren't as easy to dispose of. If people weren't careful about sealing away their dead, sickness could very well spread to those still alive. And finally, at number 1, we've got Amityville. I don't even really need to talk about this one. There's already so much media out there concerning Amityville. Books, movies, documentaries, radio shows, you name it. This house on Long Island has received its fair share of attention over the years thanks to the famous mass murder that took place within and the subsequent haunting. You know, swarming flies, demonic pigs, ooze seeping through the walls and floors. Classic stuff, really. All of these stories are based on 2 major events: the mass murders committed by Ronald DeFeo Jr. in November of 1974, and the experiences of Kathleen and George Lutz afterwards. DeFeo walked through his house at 3:15 a.m. and shot every single one of his family members. For reasons still unknown, each victim was found lying in the same position, face down on the bed. DeFeo did not use silenced weapons, nor did he have any provable accomplices, so it's really strange that no one woke up and moved from that position at any point. His story has also changed over time, so we may never truly know what happened on that fateful night. However, this family was murdered by their own son, which is reason enough to come back from the afterlife and haunt the house. These hauntings are very well documented in Jay Anson's true story book, The Amityville Horror. We won't discuss all of the hoax talk surrounding this though, I just want to get to the spooky stuff. Kathleen and George moved in with their kids shortly after DeFeo was convicted and soon began experiencing strange events. They were plagued by flies even in the winter months. George would wake up at exactly 3:15 each night. Kathleen was plagued by vivid nightmares about the murders. They saw a demon in the fire with a half blown out head. Their child developed an imaginary friend that looked like a demonic pig with red eyes, and other people actually claimed to see it too. A priest tried to bless the house, but heard a voice telling him to get out, and actually ended up developing unexplainable red welts on his hands. Kathleen even levitated out of her bed at the famous 3:15. There is a famous picture of a demonic boy taken by Ed and Lorraine Warren that appears to show a young boy with glowing eyes, even though there was no such boy in the house at the time. Some speculate that it was the ghost of the 9-year-old DeFeo boy still roaming the house in which he died. The events I just covered don't even scrape the surface of all the stories told about the Amityville Horror, but you probably have an idea of how haunted this house actually is. This house was recently sold to new owners, but they haven't reported any strange events yet. All we need now is a brand new Hollywood horror detailing the events so someone will open up investigations once again. What a list, huh? So many ghosts all over the world. So little time. What do you think? What is the scariest haunting in the world? Are there any international haints that I didn't mention? Make sure to let me know down in the comments. Before I disappear, let's take a look at some of your more insightful comments from our last video. David Rosales says, "You can never escape us. We will always be here until we get top 5 Dante's Inferno tortures." Does that mean that if we do the top 5 Dante's Inferno tortures, you'll just disappear forever? Like, where will you go? I don't know if I can deal with that pressure. Char Asnable says, "I have 7-inch bone penetration." Heh. You need to go to the hospital right now. There's 7 inches of your bone being penetrated, you're bleeding to death. Go. Idrew Lilly says, "I had a crush on Pinhead." I mean, sure, he's handsome, but how are you gonna deal with all the body-rending torture? John Lloyd says, "You've got the best t-shirts. You gotta spill the tea on your source." I'm sorry, that's highly classified information. Although, there is this secret place called the internet that you could start looking on. And Kevin Taco says, "Wit the birds. Now what I've done? Oh no." Yeah. That's it for today. Don't forget to fire a like down below and subscribe for more spooky stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.